you, but you look. Oh girl, you blow my mind. I know what I would like to do, but you just keep on talking. I see your dog needs walking. Your folk drive you insane. I know, yeah, that's true. Of course, you ain't the one to blame. Keep on talking to me. You keep on telling me your dreams. You keep on talking to me, but I just wanna see you move. Yeah, I just wanna see you move. I just wanna see you move. Yeah, I just wanna see you move. Sure, I like to listen. It's not like I don't wanna know. It's just that you've been talking to me 3 nights in a row. I think it's time to let go. Forget the past, just lose control. Cause life's too short for yapping. Come on and dance, come give me soul. You keep on talking to me. You keep on talking to me. You keep on talking. You keep on talking to me. You keep on telling me your dreams. You keep on talking, but I just wanna see you move. I just wanna see you move. I just wanna see you move. I just wanna see you move.
What's going on? What's going on? Hey,
In this
we're back.
moment,
Yes.
Shout out to the
cannot say what's wrong
CIA.
or right.
No.
One love
It's
to
not
the
hard to fool me,
No.
FBI.
'cause I'm addicted to the good life.
Yes.
Yeah, lead the
Yeah.
way. I follow. No
How we
need to
doing?
say
No.
where we are
Hope you're enjoying your
headed now,
Sunday.
babe. I
Let's
follow.
In the chat room.
To the edge
Age,
of it all.
city, gender.
So
Let's
tell
get
me
it.
good night, 'cause I'll buy no matter what. Yeah,
Hello's good live.
susceptible now, before the moment flies. Ooh, so tell me good night, 'cause I'll buy no matter what. Ooh, susceptible now, before the moment flies. It's not a problem,
Not a problem.
'cause I know what I'm getting into.
Yes.
Yeah,
Can you hear me well?
nothing can stop
Can you see me
me,
good?
No.
'cause I'm addicted to what you and I realize.
Make a
The
man.
way I follow, no need to say where we are heading now, babe.
Shout out to my next ex-wife. We can have a church wedding.
So tell your good night.
We're going to hell.
No matter what, yeah.
I repeat.
Susceptible now, before the moment flies, before it flies. So
Let's
tell
get
me
it.
good night, 'cause I'll buy no matter what.
Hey, Bear Bear.
Susceptible now, before the moment flies. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We are back. We are back. We are back. Shout out to the confident, intelligent, and assertive men out there, the CIA, the feminine, beautiful, inspirational ladies, the FBI. How are you doing? We have a special Sunday broadcast, Church Day. We're going to take it to church. So here's what we're going to do. Ask you guys to keep the likes up, the engagement up on 50%, so we don't have to start and stop. You know, we don't want to have to do that. We should already have halfway there. Fragrance of the evening. If you've been around me any length of time, this one needs no introduction. Bond number 9, New York Oud. Damn. Just damn. One of the things that started it all. Candle of the evening. You see that big candle right there? That's from Diptyque. And that's 34. That thing is an indoor-outdoor candle, and I'm going to tell you right now, a little on the costly side, but if you want to make your place smell incredible, that joker right there will do it. All right, so as we're getting the new space set up, we'll kind of work it out. Say how to, I don't know what we're going to call him. Somebody says Bentley Bear. It's a Baccarat bear. Somebody said Bentley Bear. I don't know. We need a name for the bear. We're going to call him Bear until we figure it out. Stay there, Bear. So we got the chat room going on. Oshay, shout out to Oshay in the house. Here's the thing. First of all, here's what I'm going to ask you guys to do. I'm going to ask you guys to just listen before you render judgment. And I want you to understand, when I'm talking about the church, I'm talking about all churches, but in general, I'm talking about the Christian black church in particular. And here's the thing. Black people by nature are highly religious people, but tonight we're going to talk about if the modern black church wants to reclaim black men, how are some possible ways to do it? Now, I'm not going to say this is the only way, but what I am going to say is it's something that I put a lot of thought into, a lot of discussion with other men, and we're going to go over some of the things that over the last 20 years, we've seen become problematic. Half of Americans are now church members, and that's down from 70% at the turn of the century in 1999. Most of the decline is attributable to the increase in the percentage of people claiming no religion. Membership has fallen 9 points amongst those who are religious. Bottom line is this, that's just in the country in general, but in the black church it's become even more steep. Why is that? Why is that? Well, as somebody who grew up in the church, as somebody who actually grew up in the church and spent a significant amount of time in church. At one time, I was over singles ministries at different church. On any given week, you used to find me on Sunday service at my Sunday service and working after hours in the homeless outreach ministry. On Monday, men's ministry. On Tuesday, if they had singles ministry. Wednesday, Bible study. Thursday, mentorship. There was a time when I was only out of the church, maybe Friday and Saturday night. And that's if you're not married, have kids, doing the church lock-ins and things like that. Let's be honest, man. Right out of slavery, the modern black church played a large role in the black community. It was a central focal point in the United States for communities of all kinds. It was the place to where we all went and gathered, fellowship. It was the center of town. And most things, if you wanted to start a town, you needed a pastor or a preacher. Now, fast forward to a city where we leave towns and communities, move into big cities, blah, blah, blah. What have we seen the rise of in the last 30 years? The last 30 years, we've seen the rise of the megachurch. Okay? Got necessarily no real problem with that outside of the fact that the community aspect in an organization that large becomes missing. Yeah, you may be able to go get a good word on Sunday, but being attached to a body, Much more difficult when you have 10,000 people in the service. The rise of non-denominational churches. The rise of prosperity preaching. And all of these things are structural. They're not going to change. But one of the things that I will say we have noticed is with all of these things, we have seen a steady decline of single men marching out of the church. Two places are leaking men: colleges and universities and churches. We're going to talk about the church today, the black church in particular. And in my personal opinion, I don't know when the last time you went to church, but church is different today than it was. When I was coming up, there was no way you could have a woman sitting on the front row proudly playing her tambourine and getting happy. Three kids out of wedlock, 4 different dudes. It's not to just jump on single mothers, but there was a time where there was still some structure. So when the church started saying, no dress code, everybody's welcome, what'd you start losing? You start losing a lot of men. Because like it or not, shout out to Dame, like it or not, men like and require things to be structured. The church, for all intents and purposes, has lost its way amongst men. Men are tired. Men will tell you men will tell you that, especially in terms of relationships, many men feel like the church does not help. Because far too often, many men in church will complain about having their woman, their wife, their girlfriend, their significant other quoting their pastor in his home as a way to keep a man in line. So tonight we're going to talk about it. Because with the decline in men, what are you also seeing a rise in? Well, if you lose men, you lose a lot of your you lose a large portion of tithes and offerings. So you got to get an ever increasing share from who's remaining, and that's women. And there is no surprise for the increasing share of tithes and offerings for operational expenses must come from a decreasing male population and increasing female population. What do you think you're going to start hearing? Much more of this God, you can do bad all by yourself, prosperity, preaching Christian light stuff, to where the church is darn near the world in a lot of men's minds, because they're like, now wait a minute. So you can come to church dressed like you were dressed last night, wearing the long, different color fingernails, the long, different color hair, tight dress, this, such and so forth, tatted up, blah, blah, blah. Well, men understand why that happened, because you got to keep the women happy. When was the last time you went to church and you heard anything about sin? Growing up in the Baptist church or even Church of God in Christ, they were not timid about going back to the Old Testament. Fire and brimstone, Revelations. I would tell you that going into church these days, it's pretty much like Jesus, God is cosmic Santa Claus there to grant you your wishes as long as you keep the faith. And men are just not as easily swayed. Why? Because the modern church has forgot about men. The message the modern church is preaching does not resonate with men today. Far too often, if you ask guys, that the modern church today stands to further the desires and ambitions of the pastor, a few key men around the church, and is dedicated to married couples, women, and children. That's what a lot of guys will say. Go back in the comment section on YouTube or on Instagram. Men feel left out. And women are being told that there is nothing wrong with anything. Whatever you got, gotta work it out. So let's go over some things that, and here's why is this important? Because if you run in a church, if you could be the first church to actually win the men back, your bottom line would be greatly enhanced, among other things. And for people who don't think church is a business, you better get out of here. Church is a business. If you don't think church is a business, you are tripping. And one of the ways to where you're going to start wooing men back to church is, Pastor, you must share power. If you're not willing to share the power, we don't even have to have the conversation. Most men will tell you that the church has become a cult of personality, all about the ego of one person. And if you will sit down and talk to many pastors, I have gone at it with some pastors who I'm like, you ain't nobody but a man. You just a man just like me. You went to seminary. Some of y'all went to seminary, but so what? But the micromanagement of the typical pastor today runs the competent men out. Most pastors cannot stand to have strong, competent men in places of power and leadership around the modern church because it challenges their authority. I'm going to let sit right there. That means if you want men to come back, you're going to have to willingly share power. That means you're going to have to turn resources in the church to men. The men's ministry needs to grow. The boys' ministry needs to grow. And the singles ministry needs to grow. Take money away from the women's side to go on an active media campaign to target men, to bring men back into the church. And how do you do that? One, you got to be willing to share power. Two, less prosperity, more accountability. Less prosperity, more accountability, because this overly reliance on prosperity, and God wants you to live your best life and this and that, and it's all going to be all right. If we have seen on my channel that far too often that when you leave that little gray area, when you're in this soft coddling language, people can tend to stay exactly where they are, comfortable, and it's not helping. And the only way you're going to get back to preaching a balanced gospel, a balanced anything, is you're going to have some consequences. When's the last time you heard a pastor preach upon chastity? When's the last time you saw a pastor preach on weight, beauty, health, anti-slut culture, anti-thought culture? When was the last time you saw the church mothers go bring out a bed sheet or a towel and put it over these girls' knees? We got to bring shame back to the church. That's right. You got to bring shame back to the church, or else what's going to happen? Where'd it go?
Shame. Shame. Shame.
See, this dude right here says the church ain't going to do none of that if there's no money involved. Well, see, that's the problem. That's why they're stuck. You're trying to get increasing money from a decreasing membership. You're trying to get increasing money from women. That's why you got pastors that are threatened by the rise of platforms like this, because we're the end of the day. It's not ending your bottom line. And I'm telling you, how you can end up increasing your bottom line is by bringing men back into the church. You know what? I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. Yo, baby, yo, baby, yo. You can be a Kappa, but if you're not financial, it doesn't help the fraternity. So every organization has something that they call reclamation, where they try to reclaim members to get people back to being active dues paying members participating. The church needs a reclamation of men. And with reclamation comes revenue. But with revenue from men comes responsibility. You're going to have to share books and you're going to have to share power and actually let men see what's going on, because you can't keep telling men to keep throwing money into the building fund and we don't see no building. That's just not how it's going to work. But here's the other side. If you don't do this, eventually you're going to lose the women anyway, because they're in church to find a husband. That's why they're in church. The women in church to find a husband. I don't know who told you. These women in church to find a husband. And they're looking around and Boaz ain't there for Ruth. That's one of the first places you used to tell people to go to church to find a husband. You can't find a husband for the men that ain't there. All you see in the church right now is women and children and baby boomers and late generation ex-married couples. You don't see young married. When's the last time your church on Saturday was booked because of a wedding? When's the last time you saw your church on Saturday booked because of a wedding of a parishioner that you know? Less prosperity, more accountability. You got to bring back sin and shame. Sin and shame. Because things are out of control according to men. Men are tired of looking at women who are walking around who are looking just like the world in church. Then why go? Why do men need to go to church if they can see what they can see in the nightclub and at the strip club? Ski, yo, what's going on? Dude said, last time I went to church, they checked me for a wedding band and sat me between all single women. See, that's the problem. And see, the thing is, I was in a church one day, and it was about 4,000 to 6,000 people in the 10 o'clock service. Pastor said, all the single men stand up. Single unmarried men stand up. About 50 of us stood up. He said all the single unmarried women stood up. About 500 of them stood up. He said, ladies, there they are. But the problem is, one, men understand as a single man, you are being looked at as a potential husband. But the problem is the churches don't support it. There is little to no money in singles ministries. No one over the singles ministry. Try to run a singles ministry in church and try to get some resources or some funds or some allocation. They won't do it. They'll tell you, most churches will tell you do it out of your own pocket. So let me get this right. You got all these tithes and offerings you need. You want me to build a singles ministry out of my own pocket. Then you want to have oversight on it. And you out your French toast mind. Hell no. Because see, you can't do men like that. Men ain't going to allow you to do that. Men ain't going to allow you to sit back because you got pastor on your title. He's like, man, whatever. You just a man. You ain't going to be able to tell me something just because of that, especially if I know you. I know your people. Shame, sin, and singles. Why? Shame, sin, singles, and mingle. You got to bring back shame. You have to bring back sin. You got to focus on singles. You got to focus on mingle. That will bring in the men. Go ahead and say it. Shame, singles, mingles. That will bring in the men. A church that has an active singles community focusing on women who are living by some sort of code, some sort of standard that are different than what people are seeing online, swiping left, swiping right. And what's that going to be required? That means the pastors and the singles ministry are going to have to get active. You're going to have to start looking at your women and say, okay, baby girl, Tanya, Tina, Karen, Becky. Oh, okay, you in the church? Okay, okay. Well, y'all see your profile over here on Plenty of Fish, baby girl. Oh, that's not going to work. Oh, is that you on Instagram, baby? Oh, Brittany, I see what? Boo, what? Hey, what? Is that you? Is that what you I see twerking over on TikTok? Oh, that's not going to work. No, sister. You're going to be in Mount Calvary on the hill by Mount Olive, twice reformed, better gospel or the tambourine on the French Toast Riviera. No, we got to take that down. We're going to have to go ahead and reclaim your Christianity. So we're going to need you to bring in your Tick and your Talk, your Insta, your Gram, your YouTube, your Face Twitch, your Link Book, and all that stuff. We're going to need to go ahead and scrub this on up and get this clean because you ain't representing the church well. Come on. Because you're going to be in the singles ministry over here, we're going to have to, yeah. Because all you're going to get is one bite of this apple. Men come in there and see if the music ministry start talking about break it down, Tatiana, break down. You don't want to hear none of that shit in church. We don't want to hear. We want to hear the pastor preaching on sheets for the streets. You want to get a shot at men? Let men understand you're doing something different with women, and you're facilitating an area to where reclaimed men and reclaimed women have an opportunity to mix and mingle. Put real money into that. And make sure that the women are worthy of what you say that men should be. Why is this going to also be necessary? Because if you have singles, you have to have mingles. You have to support this too, because once people start dating and such and so forth, you're going to have an environment that supports dating with intention, not just dating to hook up, because men are going to run in there and try to smash. Women are going to run in there and try to get the bag. No. That means singles classes. And in singles classes, what you're going to have financial training, role learning, all kind of stuff. That's what a church is supposed to be. They're a resource for the people. There'll be plenty of men who will come in, pocket watchman JT be right there talking about, financial planning. See, sister, if you want to get married to this brother, and I know you want, you want 3 kids, and you want to pay 10% of the household family bills for a lifetime. Okay, well, see, if that's the case, that means y'all going to be, that's where the numbers lie. The financial training is a must, because far too many average or modern women today think that they should have Mercedes and a mansion when they got a communication degree and $40,000 in student loan debt. No. Understanding that, well, ma'am, we got a guy over here who's a Blue Henry or we're not going. The doors of the church aren't going to be open if you're 65 and they don't have no money to retire on. So we're going to have to try to get you with somebody. Yes. And overall, supporting all this stuff and then community participation. This should be pretty common sense. Putting time, effort, and resources into reclaiming men. Because regardless of how crazy it sounds or how far-fetched it sounds, the church that learns, that cracks this code first, will be the trendsetter. Bringing men back into the fold. And the thing is, you're going to have to start preaching what you should have been preaching in the first place. That there is order. There is leadership. There is no partnership. I don't partner with Jesus. You're going to have to start preaching the vertical relationship. We're going to have to start preaching the vertical relationship in the household as well as too. Because what is being done today is not working. The rise of the strong, independent, so-called Christian womanist, feminist, and the exiting of men. It's not hard to see that this dating environment today sucks. And there is not a sliver of difference in most men's mind between the average Christian woman and the average non-Christian woman. The average, let's even take Christian, average woman of faith and the woman of no faith. That's a problem church is going to have to fix. Hierarchy and everything. That's what's up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up. I'm going to open it up for the women. For the first 30 minutes, I'm going to open it up for the women. And I want to hear what the women think needs to be done to reclaim men back in the church. I want to hear what the women have to say about reclaiming men back in the church. And I also need to say this too. I made a post on Instagram. And I got these conversations going on Instagram right now. But I also wanted to drop this out here. This thing has been on my mind for a minute. And it said, it's not it's not uncommon. It's not uncommon to hear. Let me see. It's not uncommon to hear black women lamenting the fact that black men don't have or feel so unsupported out here in the world. You oftentimes hear black women talk about how bad they feel for black men out in the world, how rough black men have it, that the average black man, like Michael K. Williams, was that his name, Williams? Whatever, the guy who died off the wire, Omar. You hear women talking about, I feel so bad that we got so many of our good brothers out here. They're feeling so unsupported and this and that at the bottom. That's very common to hear women say that. And oftentimes women feel sad and angry about the situation, but I wonder, ladies, if you realize that you're partially at fault. Why? Because single women need to understand that the large reason why there's so many single black men who are unsupported out here is because of the lack of wives. Want to help? Marry a black man, make some black babies, and build a black family. This isn't a new concept. Meaning that if black women are going to marry at a rate of 1 out of 4, 26% of black women will marry in their lifetime, and the next lowest group of women is white women with 54%. That's twice as many marriages by percentages. Well, guess what? It is a hell of a lot harder for a man. It's a hell of a lot easier for a man to feel supported if he has a loving, caring, dutiful, supportive wife. We're unsupported because we're a community of singles. We are a community of singles. Ladies, you're unsupported too. That's why when you guys get to the
I'm a PhD.
That's why so many of you in danger zone. They're 27 to 35. This is a wake up call. This is why the reason between no man's land 36 to 60. My largest group of detractors that are women come from that area. 36 to 60, because we're not meant to be this damn single. If men are unsupported, it's because the support system. Who do you think the support system for a man of the species is? It's the female. I don't know why we think that we're all supposed to be just walking through here like some Star Trek individuals living on the Enterprise. That egalitarian world does not exist and won't exist in our lifetime. Human beings are meant to be paired up in twos. So when you sit back and say, I wish black men had more supporting by, that shouldn't be, it's like our community seems to think that we can just be single as hell, whether men or women. And this is why I talked to that one woman the other day. I said, do you really think age 65 comes along that you're going to be homeless? And she said no. And when asked why, because I saw my aunties and my nene and them did that. And we got an entire group of people who are not getting together. And where y'all think y'all gonna go when you can't work no more? The only saving grace for men is we die before y'all. Most men be like, shit, by the time we be on the way out of here anyway. Y'all live longer than us, 15 plus more years. Y'all got to worry about this more than us. Oh, he said, I blame music and movies. I blame the fact that we are not focusing on doing relationship. We're focused on individuals. And the only way you're going to get this back is to get men. The men are going to still require the product that they want. You want men to buy? Men need a better product. Churches should be the one place where the best women should be coming from.
Recording
That's where
in progress.
the best women should be coming from is church. And if they're not coming from church ain't doing its job, in my personal opinion. Church is supposed to be a place where you go find you. There are good women in church. Yeah, there are good women over there. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. Any man moving into a new city, like, man, where you go to? Where all the nice women are at? Where do you find these nice women? Church. Men are like, no, not finding them in church these days. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna open it up for the ladies, one at a time. You must be on camera on the Ask Godfather link. You can ask to not be on camera on the YouTube link, on the Zoom link, but you must be on camera, so I can see you. And make no mistake that we're talking about the black community in particular, but this is coming for everybody. Winter is coming. So here it is. And I am tired of seeing so many women that I think would be good partners, good wives, who are taking so damn long, slow rolling. No. We got to do something different. We need a community. We're going to need you ladies to get into your support role. Uh-oh. What did I say? Uh-oh. So here you go. You say blame Tyler Perry movies. Nah, this happened long before Tyler Perry movies. Tyler Perry ain't got nothing to do with the church seating. If you grew up in a church like I did, you will see that there's no money thrown into the singles ministry. There's nothing really thrown into singles ministry. Simply not. Money is in the marriage ministry, children, music. There were no resources for singles. So if there are no resources, there's no structure, nobody over it. I'll give you an example. I'm not going to say the church, but when Vacation Bible School happened one summer, I was over teaching the single stuff for the women. Every other group had a curriculum. It was all typed up, double spaced. There was obvious thought and effort put into it. I was given basically, here's some scriptures we want you to read and go talk to the women. I'm like, it looked like it was printed in 1963. I'm like, what are we talking about? And I went in there, there were like 6 women. And I'm like, now I used to, when I was working in this one job, I would do the Bible, Wednesday Bible study at work. So I'm sitting there looking at this, and I'm like, I said, all right, ladies, this is what we're supposed to talk about, but got a question. Do y'all want to talk about this, or do y'all want to just talk? We just want to talk. I turned my chair around, and that was the first time I really sat down and started doing something like this. We went from having 6 women to the next night we had damn near 30, to the next night we needed a sanctuary. And it was the first time a lot of women had said they'd ever heard a man speak from a Christian standpoint about men and women. And this is in church. But when I went and sat down and talked to the pastor, it was like, well, y'all can go over here to so-and-so and do this and do that. But everything y'all do, I want to know about. But, where's the money for it? Well, can you pay for it out your own pocket? Can you print your own flyers? Man, come on, man. Monica, you ready? Now, it's just individuals now. No groups. No, you can't start your video later. All right. So let me do this, Monica. Pop you on. People talking about they'll start their camera later. No, you can't start your camera later. Come on. Hello?
Hi.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can. How are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you?
I'm good. I told myself I wasn't going to struggle with the camera, but clearly I can see I have a lot more grace for people now when it comes to the camera issue. It's like, oh my goodness. I was like, what's the problem?
Okay.
Right, I'm centered now.
Okay, so what do you got for me on topic?
Oh, the issue why I feel like there aren't men in the church overall. I think it has to do with the fact you have pastors that really don't teach the gospel. You have people more interested into tithing and feel good stuff, like you shared before about shame and sin. It's
Mhm.
not something real to a lot of the pastors and teachers today. So how are you going to build men or encourage women, for that matter, to walk in God when you don't have pastors that actually teach the word? Or even if they do, it's not really real in their own lives. They don't show that as an example culturally, and I don't know if you would agree. Culturally, it's okay to know your pastor cheats. It's a common thing, and
It's okay to
so
do
it's
what?
for your pastor to cheat. Like it's a joke. It's
Hmm.
something like within our black culture that's like, oh yeah, it's known for a pastor to have the first lady and a side lady. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, oh
Uh,
yeah, 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 yeah. It's not. I wouldn't say it's okay, but I guess it's known.
it's not okay. It's
Mm-hmm.
not okay. But I think within the black culture, we don't take what God says in his word seriously. It's figurative, it's suggestive, it's a good
Yeah,
idea, it's a way
and
to
you
stay out of trouble,
and you
but
see
we're
why
not trying.
and that's why it becomes increasingly so difficult for so many women to deal with facts because even the scriptures are just meant to be. I'll pick this and I like this, but I don't
Right.
like that. I like this and I don't like that. So hold on, I'm going to bring somebody else on too, and I will share something. Since you mentioned the cheating thing, there was a time where I actually felt like I was being called. I thought I was
Oh,
actually being, and I did not want to go. Trust me, I was like, and I'll share with you guys the reason that I did not really want to do it. One of the biggest reasons is because of what you just said. I knew so many men who were dibbling and dabbling with women,
hmm,
and from the pulpit. And I would see so many men who would be over the singles ministry, and next thing you know, they ain't caught up in some sex scandal.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
when you are in that pulpit in a church that is that thirsty for men for masculine leadership, and there's no singles, all those women are going to that one man, including single women, married women. So if I didn't want those problems, ma'am, your audio is not connected. Kane, whatever it is. So luckily though, it turned out that I wasn't being called. Woo! Thank you,
No,
Jesus.
well, you know what? If I can share something really, really quick, it reminds me of a story in the Bible where God dealt with Eli and his two sons,
Mm-hmm.
and I would say they're a great example of like how people can be culturally involved in the church but not transformed by the word. So you
Right.
had these two sons that were stealing and sleeping with the women in the temple,
Mm-hmm.
and God dealt with them, but I mean, it just goes to show it's a different time, but different, same people. So if
Right.
you're not taking again the word of God seriously, letting it transform your life like it should be, what shapes you, your worldview, how you deal with people, how you spend your money, how you spend your time, who you spend your time with. Because I would say I struggle right now myself as a true Bible believing born again Christian,
Hold on,
not
hold on. I
like
want to bring some. I want to also bring in some other women because we don't have that long on this time. But I appreciate you
sure.
joining in, man. Thank you very
No,
much.
not at all.
See,
Sorry.
I think here's another thing. This is why I said pastors are going to have to share the mic. They're going to have to share the power with men. They're going to have to share the power with men. And they're going to have to share, or else men aren't coming back. Men know what's going on. What in the French toast? All right, y'all ready? All right. Hello. How do I pronounce your name? Kane. How do I pronounce your name?
Kannie, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Can you take me off YouTube, please?
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. I absolutely love you. I've been watching all your videos. You're amazing. I love you.
Appreciate it. What do you think? What do you got on the topic? How are we going to get men back into the church?
All right. Well, basically, I go to a church, and it's a non-denominational church. But the thing is, the church is highly controlling,
Okay.
and it basically scrutinizes the whole process of dating. Like, a man can't individually ask a woman out. Like, he has to go to the leaders and ask them whether the woman's spiritual, all this type of things. And I feel like all of this is preventing men from wanting to engage in a church that's so controlling. And as you said, the pastors aren't giving leadership to the men. They're taking all the power. They're not sharing the power. So I feel it's quite off-putting for the men.
So is there a singles ministry?
Yes, there is. Yeah.
But so there. Okay. So if a man wants to ask a woman out, he has to go before the church, quote unquote, leaders.
Yes. Yeah.
And how long does that process typically take?
It takes a couple of weeks or so. Like, it's not very straightforward at all. There's a lot of women that are single, and there's a very small amount of men, because a lot of men are actually leaving because
Okay.
they don't like the control in the church.
Are there any? Since you've been there, have you witnessed any weddings?
No, but I've not witnessed any weddings. Like, there has not been a single wedding in years in that church.
Well, then
Actually.
I would say okay. Well, see, I'm not opposed to the levels of control, as long as there are levels of output. Meaning, if they're going to do some sort of vetting, that's fine. But then there needs to be equal amounts of energy putting together like-minded men and women together for dating, not just we got all these beautiful women who've been thoroughly vetted, but you can't touch them all. That I don't understand the outcome there.
Absolutely agree with you. I do. And Kevin, I just want to say that, like, I mean, because of your videos and stuff, I decided to think outside the box, and I've actually decided to date someone outside the church, because I realized that there's no such thing as a perfect man,
Nope.
as long as the man is willing and they've got good intentions. And as you've said, to state whether they're marriage minded, they're marriage minded. So I took the leap, and now I'm in a happy relationship, which I've kept quiet from the church.
Well, good for you. As long as you guys are dating with intention, I that doesn't sound too healthy to me. But as long as you guys are dating with intention, you both understand what you want, and you're both on the same page. Keep doing what you're doing. Have a good day.
Thank you, Kevin. You too. Take care. All the best.
Bye bye. All the way over from the UK. So yeah. Anyway, every woman that comes in with an English accent, they keep making her Jessica X. I'm like, every black woman with an English accent is not Jessica X. Jessica X is like, they need to put her. Jessica X is everybody, right? Are you ready, Kimberly? Wade? Okay. After I talk to the women, I'm going to actually bring in the men and ask them what's going to happen. Hello.
Oh, hi, my phone is about to hang up.
Hello.
I have to call.
Okay, well, call back. Call back. Okay. See, what you're hearing is power. Power. And what I'm suggesting is, look, to all the pastors and the men of the cloth, I know you want your power. Cool. I know you want your money. Cool. But you got to start realizing you can have more money if you're willing to share power and help give men what they want. You're going down a path to where people aren't getting the outcomes. So if you're not going to get any better outcome, there's no need to physically go to church. And let me say this. I know more men who are having church at home. That's what I do in my church. You don't need to go. Going to church is for a social, communal aspect, not for your personal relationship with God. You can do that in your prayer closet. Y'all gonna have to start helping men get the outcomes. Good evening, everyone. Everybody's Jessica X. All right, so what time is it? It's 9 o'clock. All right, I'm going to open it up for the next 30 minutes and also allow men to start calling in. But gentlemen, you must be on camera. You must be on camera. I got to see you on camera, and I'm going to say limit each guy to about 2 minutes, okay? Because I know guys got a lot to say, and when men get up here, they can just kind of flow. So, go ahead, Alton. Go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Hey, Kevin, how you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Good, good. I just want to touch on something that you said earlier,
Okay.
and I think it was something that was important that you touched on, is that men like structure.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not seeing that in a lot of modern day churches today.
Right.
And I think that that's what's keeping a lot of men, especially black men, away, is because it's just kind of like a free for all in church,
Mm-hmm.
and just like you said earlier, it's more catered to women. So I'm here in the Metro Atlanta area. Sorry for my
That's okay.
sorry for my camera. I'll just go ahead and transition to the other one. But yeah, I'm here in Atlanta where there's a lot of mega churches,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been to a couple of them, and just like you say, majority of them are filled with women, and I think it's due to the structure.
Mm-hmm.
There's no structure in the churches. So
The churches have you attended? Are you single?
no, I'm actually married.
Okay. The churches you've attended, do you know if they've had active singles ministries?
A couple of them. I've seen a couple.
I guess let me define what I mean by active. Meaning
Yeah.
the singles ministry is the defining ministry, the defining part of the church. They are known for actively facilitating relationships and or healthy outcomes in marriage. Not just
No,
do they
not
have
not
one.
not those churches.
All right, see that's
not those
see in
churches.
my
Yeah.
personal opinion, that's what we need. You go to Chick-fil-A because you know you're gonna get what? A good Chick-fil-A. They are not known for their bomb salads. They're good.
Right.
Chick-fil-A is known for that one chicken sandwich and them 2 pickles. And people will even let them be closed on Sunday to get that one chicken sandwich and them 2 pickles. And people like their waffle fries.
Exactly.
That's a defining feature. McDonald's has the French fries too, a defining feature. And I'm saying if we can have a church that can decide that they want to have a defining feature of bringing in effectively making a ministry about reclaiming men and having an active singles ministry to facilitate these things that we say that we want as a community, they could run the table.
I think I may look into that here in Atlanta, trying to start something like that. So I think that's a good idea.
This is what this is for, because see, typically
Yeah.
I realize that these conversations are different, and when people start feeling like their power base is threatened, they want to start wars. No. Either or. Let's do and, because in Atlanta
Exactly.
we got all these professional black people, all these professional men, all these professional women, all these mega churches, but no one's decided to say we're gonna be the church for the singles. We're gonna facilitate, we're gonna teach, we're gonna take these 80% of the folks that were born without a daddy in the household, and we're gonna teach the women their roles, the men their roles. Come on, man. You see where we're going with this.
Right. Exactly. And I think I've heard you talk about this a couple of times on your show. I think you mentioned that Atlanta has one of the highest rates of single black women in the country, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah.
And we got some of the most churches in this city as well as any other city in the United States. So, but there is a gap. There is a lack of that type of ministry here, and yeah, I think that that's what a lot of us need to start doing, and start to have these conversations,
Well,
and to be more active with it too.
let me say this to. I'm gonna go ahead and put somebody else and bring some folks in. Thank you, brother. Thank you for coming in. Here's the thing I'm going to suggest. If you guys are in a church right now, I'm going to suggest that you actively start going to your pastor or your church leader and say, "Hey, I want to see some resources and actual look, man, it's a business. Submit a business plan to the church. Look, I did this very thing. I submitted a business plan to the church for the singles ministry. This is what I want. Here's the overall scope, the intent, the implementation, the time frame, and a budget. You know what happened with it? You see, I'm on YouTube. That a bitch. But you do what you're called to do. All right, Kareem, you ready? Hello? Kareem. All right, Kareem is having some technical difficulties, so we're going to bring in Richard.
Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I can. I don't know what you have. Maybe
I can hear you.
you got YouTube.
Audio's kind of messed up.
You got YouTube playing in the background. That's why you got a delay. You should only be on Zoom.
Yeah, I didn't know what time you were gonna get me on here. What's going on, Godfather?
Okay, let me say this again. You have YouTube playing in the background. You need to turn off YouTube and only be on Zoom. That's why you have a delay. All right, so I'm going to bring in 2 more people. Richard, if you're not going to get on camera, I got to have you going. So Richard, you got to go. Ben, unmute yourself. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Hey, I'm good, man. How about yourself?
I'm well. What do you got for me on the subject?
Just being a youth pastor for over 10 years in the past, I just want to make a point that
Go ahead.
The big thing I've seen is fill the church with kids and you will get the members.
Fill the church.
So what we're having is youth, teenage, middle school youth full of kids that are a product of single mothers. So instead of trying to get marriages and etc., it's just if you fill the youth and you preach good to the youth, it will fill the sanctuary.
Let me challenge you on something, Pastor. Okay? In all due respect, 54% of black men are single and childless. So almost 1 out of 2 black men have no children for you to fill the church with.
So the church is filled with single mothers, and
understand something, Pastor. It is most single men do not want to be stepfathers. So
exactly.
So filling the church with children. So filling the church with children. How is that attracting single, childless, marriage or relationship-minded men? That's not what they're buying. They're not buying kids, and they're not buying single mothers. They're buying childless, fit, feminine-friendly, cooperative, submissive, character-filled women. That's what they want.
Stepfathers are the youth pastors. Because
what do you say?
The stepfathers are the youth pastors.
Okay, Pastor. Single childless men don't. I've been a stepfather. I understand, but I'm telling you from where the men are wanting. They don't want to be stepfathers. They want to create their own families.
I agree.
So what you're saying, fill a church with kids, is not going to draw in single childless men looking for their place to find a woman and build their own families.
I'm just telling you that's what I see.
Okay.
Is the church getting filled with
kids,
yeah. No fathers.
Okay. Right.
No fathers.
Right. Well, I can agree that's what's happening. I agree that's what's happening.
That's what's happening.
Right. And that drives men away. Because men don't want to be around children that they have no dominion or control over. So conversely, the first church that decides to give men what they're looking for will have a monopoly on the men. 54% single and childless. That's a market waiting to be catered to. And if what you're saying is everybody else is giving mothers and children what they want, then the church that runs towards the men is going to get everything else. Because just think about it. What do you think a church full of single, eligible, 54% of black men are single and childless, 61% in the middle class. What do you think the church that is filled with single, childless, middle class and above black men, what do you think is going to happen with that church? Do you think women would find out about it?
Definitely.
Thank you.
I think we probably don't have any parking spaces to put people people to park to get there.
Thank you. And what kind of resources would the pastor who's willing to actually share power with men who are single, childless, and builder minded.
Need?
Thank you. You'd have exactly the building blocks for a thriving church community and anything else to inject in any other city to build. Those are the men you need. We got to reclaim those very men. So
The true kingdom builders.
well, and this is a conversation I hope pastors like yourself can go back and start having and saying, we've been going down this path, but this is the underserved portion of our existing community. This 54% of black men who are single and childless. And there's 61% that's in the middle class who want to build their own families. Now, by extension, you are going to end up catching men in there who might be open to marrying a woman with children or may have a child, but you have far more fertile ground to plant on with these men who no one's serving versus the current dynamic where everyone's serving. So, something to think about. Thank you, Pastor.
Definitely.
Have a good night.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you, Pastor Ben. Brother Sebastian, how are you? Unmute yourself. Hello.
How you doing this evening?
Good. What do you got for me on the topic?
I truly believe in what you're saying, that the value in having men in the church stands further than just numbers, but men, like you said in the beginning of your dialogue, bring a lot of financial assets to the church.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there's the manpower aspect to the church. But also, I think it brings, like you said, brings the community closer together.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, one thing, like you said, that I thought was very true is that we don't have that kind of togetherness that we used to have back in the 60s and the 70s, where Black men and women could come to church and fellowship together and feel comfortable with what's going on. And unfortunately today, like you said, because there isn't the preaching, like you said, about sin and what we need to do to get better, especially as women. A lot of women parading the church without that discipline that you say that they really need in order to make sure that we can come closer together.
Let me also say this. Look, we need more Black male voices in the Black community. We need more of me and more of you guys. We don't just need me and that guy down there. We got too many of this Highlander thing to where there needs to be this person. No. The church that actually starts building and drawing men in is going to be a model to be reckoned with and replicated, because that brings in revenue and manpower. And revenue and manpower can get a lot of stuff done. All right, appreciate it, bro. I'm going to get somebody else on. I want to give Thank you, man. I want to go give more men a time to speak. And I think, the conversation I just had with Pastor, okay. I'm just going to try to bring everybody in. We got a lot of folks in here, guys. We got a lot of people in here. So, yeah. Come on, man. Turn on your camera. All right, I'm going to go ahead and boot you because I don't know your name. Trying to troll. See, put Kareem back in here. Eugene and William. William. All right, Kareem. Unmute yourself.
I got it.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good. What's
Good.
going on, Mr. Samuels, Godfather? What's going on?
Not much. What do you got for me on the topic?
I think the problem with the church, especially like the Christian church, is that words are results. We see a lot of hypocrites.
Okay. What does that mean?
Well, we see hypocrites meaning like a lot of the people that actually go to the church are not actually practicing what the church preaches.
Okay, such as, can you have an example of
So
what you're talking about?
people, it seems like the church is a place to run to when you need to repent for a sin.
Okay.
Hmm. And so, like, most people that I know, like, the church is not the place to find like the holiest woman or the woman that's like the best suited for marriage.
Well, so um, how does the church? So if that's the case, then how does the church go about reclaiming men?
I think they need to. I think they need to have good leadership where the men feel like people are being honest, that these are actually valuable people. Maybe um, qualifying people to go to church. I know church wasn't welcome everybody, but it seems
Hmm.
like
How old are you, by the way?
the actual 33.
Would you be willing to take on a leadership role in the church that was reclaiming men?
I would if I felt like it would work. I would.
What do you mean if you felt like it would work?
Well, I think it all depends on the woman's behavior in order to work.
Well, I mean, what I'm doing is I'm granting the argument. Okay, I'm granting the argument that we understand the structural problems of the church today. But I'm telling you something I often hear. I often hear us being able to say that's the problem, but then somebody else needs to fix it. Well, no. We can identify the problem. Are you willing to step in and do your part so it can be fixed?
I mean, I already got my purpose. My purpose is not devoted to actually fixing the church. That's not like
Well,
what I set my life up to do.
But do you see the paradox? The paradox is.
I mean, I could, yeah.
So the
I could
paradox.
notice a
So hold
problem
on.
that exists.
Hold on. The paradox is, yes, there are problems. They're hypocrites.
Mhm.
We're all hypocrites. We're all flawed. We're all fallen. There are no perfect people. And in the black community or any community, you're going to start with what you have. But see, one thing that I do have an issue with is just like we have women who will sit back and say the problem of men, but they're not willing to do any work on themselves. We also have men that are willing to say the problem is over there. And then when you ask them, oh, what are you prepared to do? Oh, I ain't got nothing to do with it. Well, then why are you in the conversation?
I'm a God-fearing man. I believe in the church, and I
Okay,
believe that the church has
faith
value.
without so God-fearing man, good. But if we're supposed to get anywhere as God-fearing men, faith without works is dead. Where's our work being done?
I mean, do you think the work needs to be done in the church?
I'm asking you. I'm asking you. Where are you doing the work of the church?
Well, I'm doing the work in my own behavior, how I carry myself.
Okay, but the gospel is to be spread the good news. See, and the reason I'm pushing back is when you come in saying about hypocrisy, I want you to understand how easy it is to be a hypocrite.
Right. But I think I don't think it's so much about being a hypocrite. It's like you are who you associate yourself with. So if I associate myself with a bunch of sinners and I go to the church, it's like, what am I really going to get out of it?
Okay, it's not about what you get out, but it's about what you do for it. See, what I'm still hearing is a selfish spirit. I get what you're saying, and you're not wrong, but then what are you willing to do to correct anything, or is it just sit in judgment of what's wrong and worry about yourself?
I think the best thing I could do is control my controllables, which is my behavior, how I interact with people,
So worry about yourself.
What do you want to know?
So worry about yourself.
I think that's where it starts. I think our greatest accountability is with ourselves.
All right, then what about, is there anything about life that's outside of you?
Well, of course.
I'm challenging you because you said you're a God-fearing man. If you said you weren't a believer, then we wouldn't have this conversation. But
I'm a believer, but is it just a Christian church for Black people, or is it the Jewish?
I don't know what God you said you believe in. You said God. What God do you believe in?
Well, I believe that we were created. We're obviously designed. We're not just here. I think I don't believe in the Big Bang Theory, like we all just randomly here.
Do you have any? So, as a God-fearing man, is there a religious system that you adhere to, like Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Buddha?
Well, I grew up Coptic Christian, which is Ethiopian Orthodox from Trinidad.
Do we have any responsibility to other people of our faith? Come on, man.
I think holding them accountable, sure. Holding ourselves accountable, holding others.
So we have no responsibility to anybody. So just us and God, and just take care of ourselves. And we don't really worry about anything else.
I mean, give me an example. What else can I?
What I mean is, you came in talking about hypocrisy, and I'm seeing the hypocrisy in what you're saying. I'm not doubting. See, we don't get anywhere with men who say these kind of things, or people who say these things can point the finger and say that's the problem. Okay, granted, there's the problem. It needs to be fixed. But if we are the God-fearing Christian or God-fearing men, we have something outside of our selfish lives to do something. And this is one of the problems I see in the black community. Money is a social, money making is a social activity. Success is shared. Too many of us are just worried about taking care of our own stuff while pointing at the problem in the other stuff. We're seem to be the only group that act like we have no responsibility to each other except ourselves. And this is God-fearing people.
I mean, do you want me knocking on doors and preaching the word?
No,
What
I
do you
want
me
you
to
to
do?
do. I want you to do some work, and I want you to do some work so you won't be the hypocrite you were talking about. That's all.
I agree.
All right. Because I'm very, when I hear hypocrite, I hear hypocrite all the time, but we can't be hypocritical in pointing out hypocrisy.
Well, the church crowd has changed now.
Okay,
What I'm saying is,
okay,
like,
I
people
don't
go
want
to church just to repent.
Okay, but you're okay, but you're part of the church too. You're part of the faith. You said you're God-fearing man. That's you too. And as long as we see that,
But do I have to go to church to do God's work?
then you don't want to see anything. The only way things change for the better is if people do it.
Mhm.
And if it's always going to be somebody else other than us, that's part of the hypocrisy. I don't care how the church has changed. I get it. It's not where it's supposed to be, but it's it's for us to do something, not just point it out. Or are you part of the problem or part of the solution? That's really what it comes down to in any of this stuff. That's what it comes down to, all of us. And as men, this is where our women tend to fail and have lack of respect for us, because we can diagnose the problem, but then when it's time to do the work, we're like, I'm just worried about myself. Well, okay, well then, cool. But you can only build 2 hands, 2 feet, 1 head. You can't build nothing. You can't build a tower by yourself. It's getting loud out here. Appreciate it though. Get back and forth. We got to get to a point to where, and here's what I hear with brothers like that. I hear disaffection and disillusionment. That's really what I hear. It's like, you know what? Things are not good. Jesus Christ. H. Christ. Sorry about that. William. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I can. How are you?
Good, good. How are you doing this evening, sir?
Good. How old are you?
I'm 30.
All right.
30 years old.
What do you got for me on the topic?
Great discussion. I enjoy your content.
Well, thank you.
I love the church. I've been in church since I was young. My heart is for the church. My particular church, I'm in the DMV area, and my pastor has made it known to really focus on the men's group. We have, like, every Tuesday, we have men calls and men Zoom meetings just to kind of check in with each other. But my question for you would be, at what point do you think the church lost scope or, like, just overall value of relationships? And then why do you think that fall off happened when it came to focusing on relationships? So that's just my question.
I think what's the big marker event to me is the switch in the overall church, trending from community church to mega, and then trending from the gospel to prosperity. Those are 2 marker events, seismic events, in my personal opinion, in the church that change things. Because when you go from small churches to big mega churches, you lose that sense of intimate community. Then when you go to prosperity versus a balanced gospel of the Old Testament, New Testament, this kind of thing, when it's more or less, people have called it Christianity light. Before me, you don't really get any of the structure. And then you start going into this whole, then you throw things going on in the society, womanism, feminism on the rise, the business casual work environment happening in the work world. Then we transition to you can come to church in any old kind of way. A lot of things. The church is supposed to separate from the world, and we kind of drew into the world. I mean, one of the things the kids used to say about church, they had to put them in little suits. Now you can go to church dressed any old kind of way. That's so I think if I had to look, that's where I think a lot of things happen. Then also, if you also look at the whole thing of how do I want to phrase this? The church does not really focus on singles. We focus on like the kids and then the marriage, but there's no process. Then that process, I think, was previously outsourced to the families, right? But when we start having fractured families, how are people learning how to do these kind of things? So we'll have a men's ministry and a women's ministry. But where do the men and women's ministries get together in the singles ministry? Most churches don't have that. Do you guys have that at yours? Did you mute yourself? You muted yourself. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay. I'm sorry. What was the question, Mr. Sanders?
Does your church have a single, an active, thriving singles ministry?
I'll be honest, no, sir. Like it may be between 5 to 8 of us.
So how many you said you guys have men's ministry though, right?
Yes, sir.
About how many men are in that?
If you want to add married men and singles men, single brothers, I would say maybe about 9 to 12 would be, men in general, married and single.
All right. Well, I think personally, it's just my opinion, and this was singles, the men's ministry, the men's ministry, the women's ministry, but the singles ministry needs to be there because the singles ministry is supposed to facilitate how singles move, keeping them on the path, keeping them religiously right, and also bringing in like-minded believers to possibly, get together. So that's what. And I'm sorry, folks. There's some stuff going on over here, and also we're running out of power. I just wanted to get this conversation started because I think that. Thank you, brother. I'm gonna bring.
Thank you. So have a good evening.
Thank you. I'm gonna try to bring in a couple more people. We're just gonna do a free for all. Look. Excuse me. This was not even really in my lane per se, but because I am a believer, it was just on my heart to talk about it. I truly hope that the conversation I had with my pastor becomes a template that can be just start a discussion. Like me or dislike me, my tone, my approach, and y'all gonna love this week. This week is gonna be the smoke week. Oh yeah, we're going smoke week. Like me, dislike me, whatever. Okay. You got to own what you own, but you can't deny that there's a conversation being started. And I think this is a conversation that needs to be started. Black people are a religious, God-fearing people. And I want to see our institutions back. I want to see Black church back. I like going to church. I like going to church on Sunday. Come on, man, you get to put on a suit. I mean, you kidding? Who don't like going to church, man? You get to put on a suit. Smell good, park up. Come on, man. When they start singing them old, the spirituals and carrying on. Let me go ahead and get you on here, Eugene. Who does not like going to church, man? I'm serious. Soon and very soon, we are going to see the king. Come on, man. Come on. Who don't like church? If you grew up in the Baptist church, I love the Lord, he heard my cry. Oh, man, come on, man. Break out the tambourine. Boy, y'all gonna get me excited up in here. One thing I've never done in church, I gotta admit, I never got happy and I've never run up and down the aisles. I never understood that. I've seen it. I felt like it one day, but it didn't happen. Eugene, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing fine, sir. And you?
Good. What you got for me? What you got for me on the topic?
Okay. When you think of the church is supposed to be the house of God.
Yeah.
And the pastor is supposed to be a representative of God. That means just as God is holding us accountable, they must hold, all the people accountable.
Okay.
Which most of them, if you go to most of these Black churches, they are not.
Okay.
When you go into any of these churches, You notice they always preach the feel-good gospel and not the entire gospel.
Okay.
The Bible, yes, the Bible defines everything. It tells you what God defines. I mean, it defines everything. It defines the role of men and women, which we're seeing a lack of today. And
So if you were making a suggestion to the church on how to reclaim men, what would be one of the two things you would tell them that they should do?
Well, like you said, pastors should delegate power to the men, and also, have more roles for the men. I think that's what.
Okay. All right. Delegate power and have more roles. When you say more roles, what are you thinking of? Do you have any idea, or just more roles?
Well, I'm thinking more micro ministry roles.
Okay.
More role models, not stepfathers,
right,
but more role models for our children. More behind the scene roles, okay, like with finance and everything else.
Okay,
all these roles.
I got you. And I think that enough men, when they're there, men will start to actually bring ideas. Guys, there's something going on over here, and already we're past the time. Guys, I don't know who's doing a stream afterwards. Look, again, this was not meant to step on anybody's toes. This is not, it's kind of outside of my wheelhouse as per se. And there are plenty of men who want to be able to speak. I knew I was going to get to every guy, but my ultimate hope is for this. I grew up in the church. The church is a big part of how I grew up. It is a foundational part of who we are as a people. The things we love about the Black community, the church is interwoven. The family reunions and everything else, the church picnics, come on, man. But when men are gone from the church, you just can't have that full expression. And I think reclaiming men and having an honest, open conversation about how to get this done in a way that the men can get on board with, only benefits everybody. Men bring, women give birth through their womb. Men give birth, in my opinion, through our mind, through what we bring to the table. And I think the churches are missing out on a vast resource of having those men there who have the mind, the body, spirit, and the willingness to actually do something if they see it's going to be valued, appreciated, and regarded well. That's where the sharing of quote unquote power. And I honestly think a rising tide lifts all boats. Guys, thank you for tuning in tonight. Thank you for allowing me a chance to speak on something that really outside of my wheelhouse. Opinion, all of it, just opinion. One person's opinion. Like I said, I'm flawed, heavily flawed. You're flawed. We're all flawed, but that's part of the human experience. We get there together. And like I said, I always say, we're better together than we are apart. And I want to see more of us get together, regardless of who your God is, just in the name of something more than just ourselves. So thank you guys for tuning in. Till tomorrow night. This week's going to be the smoke week. Wait till you see the titles this week. Woo! Critics and detractors, come on. Come on. We need to have it. We need to talk about it. I don't need to be the first. I don't need to be on this platform. I don't need to be the cult of Kevin Samuels or the personality one. I said I will get what I want in this world by helping people get what they want, and I'll get what I want along the way. We get there together, people. We get there together. Until the next time, peace. We're gone.